Carry on my love of books, there'll be peace when I read you all. Lay your weary pages to rest, I will cry forevermore. Hello beautiful bookworms, my name is Katarina and welcome to my channel, and today I'm going to be doing a good old book haul like I do each and every month, thankfully. So I'm going to tell you that most of these I got as a discount or as a gift, and so I am very, very thankful for those, and I'm very, very grateful for being able to do a book haul for you guys. And without further ado, I just want to introduce you to the books that I have for this month, and I hope that you guys enjoy this ride with me. So firstly, I will introduce you to some Portuguese authors and then to others, or in between two others, we will see. But the first book that I have here is called Superb Darkness. The cover of this is beautiful, and the author of this is a Portuguese author called Andrea Ferreira. And I was very fortunate to be able to pick this up in a book fair, and this is the first book, I believe, in a series. I don't know anything else about there being a sequel or something announced. However, it is a beautiful book, and the premise in the back is really short, but just caught my attention. I'm going to try and translate it, and it says, when the clock turns midnight, Carla, which is our main character, receives in her room an undesirable visitation. So from there, all of her world falls apart, and loneliness and fear just drag her to a state of depression, and only one unknown person, like a stranger, can understand this. So she gets blinded by the passion for this person, and she denies the evidence that her love is more than just an angelical face. So the dude apparently hides secrets that will take her to dangers that emerge from the depths of hell. And I don't know if this is supposed to be supernatural and actual depths of hell, which is awesome, or if this is just supposed to be a metaphor, which in its case it's also awesome. But such a beautiful cover does hide darkness on the inside, and that's just the type of thing that I like to read. I do hope that our main character can fulfill the being away from this person, because this does sound very, very toxic, but I want to read and I want to know where this has come from. Then we have another Portuguese one, and this one is roughly translated to New Blood. It's actually an anthology of horror short stories from a lot of Portuguese authors, and it's edited by Pedro Lucas Martins, and I was really fortunate of getting this. I have heard a lot about the tales that are in here. I've heard that some are really, really dark, and I do want to support horror in Portugal, since we don't have a lot, or almost none. Well, now we do. Now people are writing horror and are trying to just make horror a thing in Portugal, but we still are overlooked, because horror is the hardest genre to actually bring forth to people to see and praise. And so I am very happy to be able to support these people and read their stories and just bring forth horror in Portugal. Then another one by a Portuguese author is Amor, and this is by Sonia Ferreira. And I was lucky to find Sonia at the book fair, so I got this signed. And I'm very, very happy about it. This appears to be Celtic mythology and historical fiction mixed with high fantasy sort of novel. And I don't know if it's the first in the series or if it's completed. I don't care. The cover of this looked beautiful, and the insides of this might be interesting. I don't know. It talks about the story of Rome trying to conquer Celtic cities and places, and the story of Portugal and our Celtic nation that was here before all of this Roman Empire, and how we tried to fight it. And I think it's really interesting to write more about our Portuguese history, and also interesting to kind of blend historical fiction and fantasy in Portuguese and just bring forth a new tale. And so for that reason alone, it was worth getting. Now let's stop a bit with the Portuguese authors to tell you that I got part 2 of Outlander written in my own heart's blood. This is the 8th Outlander book, but in Portugal they divided it in 2, which, I mean, you just spend the double of the money for no fucking reason, but they try to tell you that that's the best way. But let's just, yeah, I got this. I still have the 7th volume, part 1 and part 2 to read, and the part 1 and part 2 of the 8th. And now the 9th is finally out, and the story will finally be over, so I'm very excited to just get into the Outlander craziness and read more about this tale. I love this. It's historical fiction, it's romance. It has a little bit of fantasy into it, and it's pretty enjoyable, actually, even though, of course, it has its flaws, as everything, but I like it. I really like it. Then I have a book by a Portuguese author again, and this is roughly translated to Where Do the Umbrellas Go? And this is by Afonso Cruz. This edition is marvelous. It has umbrella parts in the cover, and it's just beautiful. I cannot for the life of me translate all of this to you, so I'm just going to try and roughly tell you what this is about. Apparently this is based on the magic, different and perverse, of lands away from here. And it's very sort of magical realism, because it tells the story of a man that wants to be invisible, of a child that would like to fly as a plane, of a woman that wants to get married with a man with a blue-eyed man, a poet that is mute, a Russian general that is a cockfight, and a woman whose hairs are running away from a cage, an Indian in love, and a boy that has the universe entirely inside his mouth. So obviously in here I see magical realism, and I really want to see where this is going. This is obviously a novel, a magical realism novel, and I want to read more of those, since one of my favorite authors, Haruki Murakami, or my favorite author, Haruki Murakami, is a writer of magical realism, and I have been known to love it. I also have here 2 books by the same author. The first one is The Illustrious House of Ramires by Ecstasy. Ecstasy is a very, very known classical Portuguese writer. And then I have Father Amaro's Crime, which is also by Ecstasy. And obviously he is a very satirical and social critic. So all of these are to be taken as that. I love his humor. It's very knifey. And this one is sort of his dibbling into erotica novels, because it kind of wants to talk to you about religion and morality and what it means in the Portuguese society of those times. And this one I'm not really sure, but in the back says this is a story of Gonçalo Ramires, one of the great heroes of Essa, and it says he's the last descendant of an old aristocratic family, and he cannot bear the weight of that memory. He's now poor, he's weak, and he is humiliated, and he wants to break free and live and to honor the story of the family. So I'm not really sure where this is going, but I want to read it. I've read 2 of his books, I have another one to read, and now I have 2 more, so I'm very excited about this. Why do people put fucking stickers on the book covers? They could put it like on the back, and even on the back this shit is annoying as fuck. I'm trying to take one sticker out, and it's kind of ruining all of the book, and I am getting stressed because I want to show you the books that I've got. I don't want to be showing you that I broke all of my fingernails and all of my fingers to actually get this shit off. Like, why don't you come off? So this fucking cover has a sticker on the front and a sticker on the back, and honestly, I'm regretting all of my decisions, but it was really, really cheap, and I wanted to read this author. He's also Portuguese. So I decided to start with this one, which I think is maybe his first book. I don't know, but it is called An Involuntary Biography of Lovers, and it's by João Tordo. This is like a pocket edition, which is way cheaper than the normal edition. It's way easier to take to places to read, and yeah, it's beautiful. It's the same cover, but it had 2 fucking stickers, and this is just like, and it's also hardcover, which the actual other edition is paperback. So great. So this is I cannot even tell you, but this is about these 2 men that one day in Galicia, they ran over a boar. And the vision of the dead boar is going to take each and every one of them to like unravel their lives. And so it says that, I don't know. I mean, this is so big, but it's about like 2 lovers. It's about one of the companions trying to get to know the other companion and his life and what happened to him and why he's now so melancholic after they hit the boar, and actually to learn about his own life. And you know, I think it's going to be fun. I don't understand if this is magical realism or a pure just normal novel. I want to know. So it sounded nice. I know that it didn't make it sound nice, but trust me, this is the size of the synopsis. It's ginormous, and it's the size of my hand, and I cannot translate all of this like here on the spot to you, but I will when I know more about this. Then we have another book, and that one is The Ruins by Scott Smith. Finally, this book is obviously the Portuguese edition of it. It does have the beautiful cover underneath. This is the movie cover, but I have the original cover underneath. And this was out of print like forever, and I got it at such a cheap price. It's also fairly small, and I can read it in autumn, maybe. We will see. But The Ruins is a story of this group of friends that goes to Mexico to just have a good time, and they decide to get into these ruins to explore them. Little do they know that they won't be able to come out again, and there's a danger lurking, and it's like of a survivor story in these Mexican ruins, with something that is kind of making them probably go crazy and probably die. So I think it's going to be incredibly interesting. I've watched the movie, but people have told me that the book is way gruesome, so I'm expecting dark things. Then I have the 4th in the Sebastian Bergam series, and that is, I'm going to say it's The Quiet Girl, or The Silent Girl. I'm not sure of the translation in English, but this is by Michael Hjort and Hans Rosenfeld, and it's really great. The main character of this is a forensic psychologist that is actually a piece of shit, and he knows he's a piece of shit, and I really enjoy the in-depth of the character and all of the team that works with him to solve these murders and these crimes. And maybe this one will have to do with a kid. I don't know. We will see. I'm excited, especially because the 3rd one ended in a crazy cliffhanger, so I want to know more about this one. Then I have 2 more. I have 2 books of the same author, and that is Joel Dicker, and I have the Book of Baltimore's, and I have, I think this is called The Riddle of Room 622. So these are both sort of thrillerish, and I have the rest of Joel Dicker's collection up there in this format, so now I'm just missing one of the books, and I'm very excited to get to these. This one has to do with one of the books I already have, so I'm not going to read the synopsis or get into much details, and it also has to do with the book that I still don't have. I don't know if I'm going to read this first or that one. I have to see where they fit together. And then this one is a completely new story, which he is like the main character of. There's a past and a present, and he's the main character of the present, which I don't know how I will like the self-insert of the author in here, but maybe it's kind of a satire to himself. I don't know. I don't think this truly happened, but yeah, it's new editions and cool editions, so I can't wait. Next, we have issue 3 of The Closet, and apparently is the end of The Closet, which I am disturbed, and hopefully it's not the end. I don't want to spoil myself, but I do think it's probably the end. I don't know. But this cover is so fucking spooky. This smile is spooky, and if this is the last one, I want to read this like for yesterday and as fast as I can. And so it is written by James Dean IV. The art is by Gavin Fullerton, and the colors are by Chris O'Halloran. Very excited. It's horror. I do know that it has a kid. I don't know what it is about, but I'm dying to. Then we have Devil Ecstasy Volume 2. This is by Shuzo Oshimi. As you can see, I have the first one on the Shuzo Oshimi shelf. And this is the last one of Devil Ecstasy. This is like Shuzo Oshimi's first work. Obviously, some of his themes are similar, and that's because it's the same author and the same person, and it's the themes that the author likes to explore. However, this is a very like initial drawing and very crazy thing. I have read the author's note like in the ending of this where he's like, I got carried away. I wrote this, like I had no fucking idea what I was doing, and I wrote this and I was like, what if I do this and I do this and I do this? And then I fucking regret it, but it was fun. So I want to read it, but I'm not expecting star quality from this. However, I do expect some sensual scenes and devilry, which is probably what we're going to have. Then we have The Most Beautiful Thing in the World, which is the last volume of the Fullmetal editions of Fullmetal Alchemist, and that is volume 18. And it is a thick boy, and I just love how you can see our main characters adults already, and just the story is coming to an end, and I will finally be able to read the manga, since I've only watched Fullmetal Alchemist Brotherhood, which I totally recommend if you haven't, and I will finally read the manga and do a review of Fullmetal Alchemist as one of my favorite stories for you guys. Hopefully. Sometime in the future. But yeah, let me just tell you that in October I'm just going to be trying to do the spooks, so I will probably not start reading this, or if I do, I will not do the video for October, but it will be coming, hopefully. But yeah, I love the Fullmetal Alchemist series. The art style is not my favorite, but the story is unparalleled. And so I'm so very happy. It feels like the end of an era, quite honestly, but I'm very happy. Then we have more Shuzo Oshimi, and we have Welcome Back Alice Volume 1. I think this is his latest work, or at least his latest to be adapted, or translated to English, actually. And I have Volume 1, and I actually have Volume 3 as well. And you are going to ask, because you're curious people, where the fuck is Volume 2? And I'm going to tell you, my Volume 2 came with a defect that we weren't expecting, and so it went back so it could come properly. And so I have Volume 1 and 3, which you're going to say, oh, that's so sad, you're not going to be able to read it now. And I'm going to tell you, bro, I have so many books that I haven't read that it's okay. I will just catch up on other series, and that will be perfectly fine. So yeah, I have these two. Apparently, it says here it's the latest work by Shuzo Oshimi, so I was right. And it says, childhood friends Yohei, Kei, and Yui are reunited in high school. But what seemed like a straightforward love triangle between the three of them takes an unexpected turn when Kei shows up looking and dressed like a girl. In the story of adolescent awakening, perversion, and love, Oshimi sets out to explore the boundaries of gender, sexuality, and identity. So I am very, very interested to see this. Apparently, and I think so, this person, Kei, is supposed to be a trans woman, which I am so excited to see how Oshimi, who normally works with perversions and strange sexual desires, is going to tackle such an important theme nowadays. So yeah, I don't know. I hope that it's handled carefully, since we do not wish to bring pain on trans people. However, I am very excited that he decided to tackle this, since it's a theme that I don't see a lot in manga, or maybe it's the manga that I read. That can also be a possibility, and if you know more manga that has this kind of thematics, I would be open to experiment. Now, last but for sure not the least, is Razorblades Book 1, and this is a hardcover edition, okay? This is a hardcover edition. And this is a horror magazine, and you're going to say what? That is thick as fuck, and yeah, that is true. It says, the first year of the self-published terror sensation, now in one deluxe hardcover edition. Co-created by James Tynion IV, which I have pretty much everything that he's doing, so yeah. And Steve Foxy. Razorblades, the horror magazine, was born out of a desire to continue the long tradition of boundary-pushing horror anthologies while also bringing together the worlds of horror comics, prose, and illustration. This volume collects nearly 400 dread-inducing pages from some of the most cutting-edge names in the genre. From monsters in the closet to bodies stuffed in washing machines to fears that defy description, Razorblade redefines horror comics for the next era. And it says, featuring work from James Tynion IV, Steve Fox, Trevor Henderson, Jen Bartel, Michael Walsh, Alex Parknadel, Tilly Walden, Becky Clonan, Tyler Boss, Matthew Rosenberg, Josh Simmons, Vita Alaya, Shintaro Kago, Werder Deladera, Marguerite Bennett, and many more. Also includes prose, illustrations, and in-depth interviews with horror icons like Scott Snyder and Go Tanabe. And when I tell you that having this as an aspiring horror author, it's just, I am so happy. So, yeah. I don't know. It has maddening illustrations on the inside, horror views that I will have to not read when I'm sleeping, and it's a potential for October. We will see. I'm very excited to have this and very, very happy indeed. So that's going to be all for this video. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you like it, leave a like or subscribe, and tell me down below if you actually have read any of these, want any of these, what was the latest book that you got, like something like that. I really like to communicate with you guys, and you already know that. If you know any recommendations for horror things for October, I will be open to hear some of your recommendations, even though I already have a very specific plan of what I'm doing, but I could change it if you guys have any great recommendations. So tell me something in the comments down below. That's going to be all for today, and happy readings to you all. Bye! Carry on my wayward son, there'll be peace when you are done. Lay your weary head to rest, don't you cry no more. Okay, so sorry. I think my instrumental phases are hideous. I'm sorry.